Mentira fue la tarde tu pasado. Mentira fue la tarde tu pasado.
What's going on, everybody? It's the In the Money DFS podcast. My name is Justin, and I'm always joined by this guy. It's Dan, Coach Dan, at FF Coach Dan on Twitter. What's going on, Dan?
Just, man, great to be with you as always. And week 7, the grind continues. It was another weekend of highs and lows, and hopefully we're continuing to help our listeners with their research and study in the right direction. So, if we're not winning the Millie Maker, one of those guys are. So someone's got to win. We need a big payday coming up here soon. I'm thinking this is the weekend here. Lucky 7, right?
Lucky 7, man. Hopefully a lot of people don't have the same lucky number, but I think it's just one of the most common lucky numbers out there. But it's going to be In the Money DFS podcast, lucky number 7. You guys are new, subscribe. I mean, we give you the contrarian plays. We give you the good plays, but unlike other mainstream DFS podcasts, we have our own unique little touch to things and can help separate you from the pack a little bit. My Twitter's at Justin_FFB. I said Dan's, but it's at FF Coach Dan. Make sure you go follow both of us there. And In the Money DFS_ is the podcast Twitter. And we are live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern time, unless it changes, which you can follow the podcast Twitter to see if it does change. But we are live on YouTube. And unlike last week, this week we have a Thursday night single game slate that's kind of gross, but it's a game. I mean, all these Thursday night games are just kind of gross ever since the Bengals and Browns game. I mean, they've just been kind of dumpster fires. But we're going to go over that slate really quickly for the live stream viewers, and then we're going to reel back in, briefly recap week 6, and then go into week 7 slate. So, Dan, single game slate, what are you looking at for tonight's NFC least matchup?
This is painful because I know it is going to be an agonizing, long season for my Dallas Cowboys, who are absolutely terrible and dysfunctional, and yet they have a chance to be division champions, which is going to string this along all year.
Absolutely agonizing and terrible. Woo!
So with that, also some sympathy for you this evening, because I know you were looking forward to you always look forward to Miles Sanders, anything, never mind prime time, only game spotlight. Your boy could have been shining tonight, but he's out.
And this is a prime matchup too, man. Oh my!
Yeah, I mean, one of these mediocre teams has to rise, and your boy Miles could have been the guy to lead them there. And
would have.
The Eagles continue to showcase this no-name offense led by Carson Wentz and supporting cast that finds a way to scrap and be competitive in games. And looking like we do every week, hey, how do we think this game is going to play out? I am going to sit there tonight, Justin, in a win-win scenario. I am going to be rooting against the Eagles because that's what I do no matter who they play. But I am going to stack Eagles in DFS. So I'm hoping I'm either going to win money or lose my money and the Eagles lose and I'll still be happy. It's a win-win scenario there. But
it sounds perfect for you.
Watching these teams closely in the NFC East, I just kind of went in here tonight feeling that the Eagles are playing competitive football. They're not always coming out on the top of games, but they are scrapping. They're playing in close games. And I think the Giants just stink. I mean,
it's just very true.
They gave Dallas a run, but that doesn't say much this year, and they still blew that game. And Philadelphia is at home, and I think home field advantage is going to be big. The Eagles play with such pride at home. The Giants coming to them, I think they're in trouble tonight. So I am all about Carson Wentz, especially in those captain spots, because you could afford him tonight and still build a very strong lineup around him. So give me Carson Wentz, and let's build that around. I'm not as crazy about his matchup tonight with Travis Fulgham. He's going to have Bradbury covering him, but I just think he's going to get so much volume. Bradbury hopefully will cover a little bit of Deshaun Jackson, who's back tonight, and he'll mix it up and free Fulgham up, and I think his streak will continue. I think Greg Ward in competitive games for the Eagles always seems to get his share of volume and catches. Some lineups I might mix in a little bit Richard Rodgers if the Eagles are, in tight end mode, which historically they're utilizing their tight ends. They haven't done so as much this year. Ertz is out, Goddard's out. Be sure not to get, caught with them in your lineup. Boston Scott is in play as well. Historically, when Miles has been out, he's stepped up. Even when Miles was in a little bit last year, Boston had some moments. He hasn't really looked like Boston Scott we saw last year this year. So I'm a little bit more on the Eagles passing game, fading the running game, playing it back with either, I see Golden Tate kind of being the sneaky play tonight. Everyone loves Darius Slayton, so I think I'm going to stay off him because Sterling Shepard is coming back. So I think that'll dilute a little bit of the volume. No, there's our first disagreement of the night. He's out? No, he's not.
Sterling Shepard's out.
Wait, did something just happen last minute? They just said he was
16 minutes ago. Sterling Shepard got declared out.
No, cleared in. He's in. I'm looking at breaking news from 11 minutes ago, and he is not on the inactive list.
Well, then Sleeper's got to get their thing fixed. This is why it's great because it's a live stream, so I don't have to edit this out. Well, I do, but I'm not editing it all out. But I got a report that said he's out.
For our listeners, make sure you double check. All right, be sure. But here on break 26 minutes ago per Mike Garofalo, Sterling Shepard is up, officially back, and that was reported by Ian Rappaport from Mike Garofalo.
See, I thought he was. I was pretty positive he was going to play, and then all of a sudden, I got I think Sleeper. I'm calling out Sleeper because this is from Sleeper. You gotta fix your information because it's looking like he's active, and you told me he was out. It's kind of messed up.
Can you imagine following strictly Sleeper and you keep, you don't play him because you think he's out? Yeah, not that he's a big play tonight, Shepard, but I still want to see more of Sterling Shepard anyway. We haven't seen him. He hasn't been healthy. I don't think they're going to give Shepard a full workload, but I think they will get him into the rotation. This is a team desperate for offense, desperate to win a game. So Shepard will help them. Evan Ingram, he's one name we probably haven't mentioned yet, and it's just the most painful situation. I think I blame this on the Clapper because he's utilizing Ingram like he's Jason Witten and, a little of this dink and dunk stuff, not using him like a receiver, and he's just not breaking out. So Devontae Freeman's another one we didn't mention. I do like Freeman tonight. He's running well. I think the Eagles are without a nose tackle, so he would be another good playback with that Eagles stack.
I was going to ask your thoughts about Deshaun Jackson.
I'd like to see more of him. I think, hey, tournament play, we all know Deshaun Jackson, what he's capable of. If you're playing multiple lineups here tonight, I would definitely have one with Deshaun Jackson in because you will be crying when he goes off for 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, which he is capable of. Neither of these defenses are very good. So, he's definitely in play, not a favorite play, Justin, because we haven't seen him all year and he's just coming back.
That could lead to lower ownership.
I would mix him in.
Yeah, mix that. That's what I was going to say. I like having a lot of Boston Scott, though. I mean, you said he hasn't looked great. This whole Eagles offense isn't that good, but he's going to get volume. And this game, it's hard to even guess what the game script's going to be. It could be positive game script for the Eagles. It could be positive game script for the Giants. No one really knows. So in the off chance that the Eagles are up, say Deshaun Jackson or anyone breaks a long touchdown, it's possible. Then they're up and they're going to run the ball more. And Boston Scott has also shown some promise in the receiving game. So I do think that I'll have him in a couple of my lineups too if I was playing. But I'm not going to touch the slate because it's just a gross game, and I don't want. And Miles Sanders isn't
Justin,
playing,
we touch all the slates, Justin. Don't
we touch on it. I just don't. I'm not going to personally enter a lineup, and so I'm not going to give the people information that I'm not going to be doing. But Travis Fulgham, Bradbury's on him, but Travis Fulgham's 6'4", so I think there's a chance
the volume.
The volume.
Matthew Berry did confirm Sterling Shepard's active, so that's probably our best source there, Justin. That'll be like the tiebreaker there.
I think Sleeper's wrong. I want to agree with you because I heard he was active, and all of a sudden Sleeper well, I don't know why they're doing this to me. Maybe they have a guy, the corporate has going against a guy who has Sterling Shepard and is trying to get him out of his lineup. I don't really know, but something like that. Some collusion's going on there. Not a fan of it. But that's the breakdown of the Thursday Night Football slate. Now, reeling it back in. What did we do right and what did we do wrong last week? I will say, actually,
last week
we're gonna give each other because we, the stack of the week we both agreed on was Deshaun Watson will fall run it back with Derrick Henry. We both said that Derrick Henry was due for a Derrick Henry game, and I think that what you call his performance the other day was in fact a Derrick Henry game.
I do recall you sounded the horns, played the music, Derrick Henry smash. We were both on the same page. We both called it. We love that um, Titans game there versus the Texans. It smashed like we thought. I think just the surprise of it all was like that was a good stack. And my best Millie Maker contest was with Deshaun Watson and Derrick Henry. It cashed. But the hardest part for me this week was, Justin, like of my lineups, I was Henry in like every single lineup. Like some lineups, I'll have Madison, some I won't. You mix them up. I did not mix, fade anything Derrick Henry. And how I did not win big in DraftKings just makes me cry because it's a 43.4 point performance that didn't even get me close to sniffing Millie Maker winnings there. And that's even with Watson scoring 35. Again, Tannehill was the way to go with A.J. Brown because you would have had some more money savings and some maneuvers, some things. But Watson was great. Henry was great. Fuller was great with 27. I even went all-out Texans stack. I listened to you, Justin. I even, went back to Brandon Cooks despite our intervention last week. And we were talking about my love-hate and whether I would go with Cooks or not. I swallowed my pride. I had Justin in my mind thinking about Brandon Cooks. So I had Watson, Henry, Fuller, Cooks. And Justin, that still only cashed me like $60 in a $20 Millie Maker. Alexander Madison with 4 points.
Investment. Alexander Madison, a big bust.
Madison.
I will say that's why you got to follow our Twitters, man. Because I pivoted off him when it came Sunday. I don't know what it was. I got a little gut feeling about no Madison. I also pivoted off Cooks for some reason, and I went full on. I did like I said, Fulgham. I put Fulgham in my lineup. So we talked about him briefly, and I kind of like went towards him, and that was a big hit for Fulgham, and I was happy with it. Jonathan Taylor didn't do awful, but the game sheet really wasn't like for him. So after his bye week this week, you better believe that I'm be smashing my boy Jonathan Taylor in the lineups.
It was kind of a funny week just because I was looking at all the different scenarios of running backs we were on last week, and they all kind of like throughout the NFL to some degree underperformed or were just average. David Montgomery was another one I was high on, and he didn't do terrible. It was like a 13-point performance, not what I needed to win a big GPP. He had 4 catches. If you said going into the day, hey, Montgomery on top of whatever he runs for versus a Carolina defense that terrible, you're also going to get 4 catches out of him. You'd be like, oh wait, maybe that is a good play at his price of 5,800. And it just didn't take off for me. Irv Smith at 2,500 scored 11 points. It wasn't a bust. That allowed me to pay up elsewhere. But Madison really killed me. Vikings defense did nothing versus Matty Ryan. Matty Ice went off. I had a Atlanta stack that I changed my mind on the Saturday night. I'm regretting that. That really went off. And I think the one other piece that didn't play out the way I thought it was, and it kind of did. It just didn't result in fantasy points. I loved the Detroit Lions last week with that Jacksonville game as a stack. We talked about that. And I was right in that Detroit put up points. They moved up and down the field, but they didn't do it as much in the air. They did it on the ground with DeAndre Swift, and Swift was a touchdown machine. He racked up 30-plus points in DraftKings there at a $4,500 price tag. Yeah. If I just thought differently with the Lions stacks, and I had every combination of Galladay, Marvin Jones, Hawkinson. Marvin Jones continues to underachieve, and Swift was the guy that was needed in that stack.
Yes, he was. Dolphins defense, what a great job. Anyone playing the Jets, just play them, and you do a good trade. That's all it is. So,
good
with
advice.
That being said, quarterbacks for week 7, baby. Josh Allen against the Jets. You already know you got to lock that one in because it's the freaking Jets, man. That's already a correct answer sound effect right there. 7,700. I mean, come on. It's the Jets, man. Have you seen the Jets play? They'd be one of the worst football teams I've ever seen. Ever. That's bad, man. It's not a good not a good team.
They are atrocious. You are right. Josh Allen is one of the 7 quarterbacks that I'm kind of looking at this point in the week. So you're right again there. But they are also a 13-point underdog to Buffalo, it makes me a little bit less attracted to him in GPP. And that's why we call you Justin Money there, J Money. All right, you're the cash guy lineup. I think Josh Allen is cash game gold. But I know in the GPPs, I really love when the other team's going to push the game volume there and the points and keep it forced to throw, forced to run like we like them running. Justin, this game could be over by the end of the second quarter, and then Buffalo all of a sudden goes conservative, and Allen doesn't blow up. So that's my only reservation for GPPs with your boy, Mr. Allen.
Yeah, Dan, I have my GPP play coming soon. I mean, that's the cash game play. Also, I don't know about if you know more about me than this, but I know the Arizona-Seattle game got moved to 8:20 on Sunday night. So is that going to stay in the main slate, or is that going to take off and they're going to switch the rule?
I took notes on that. Though I've already created lineups. DraftKings has not made an announcement yet via email, Justin. I'll double check now because normally they do let you know via email of the changes. Definitely make sure you're watching that because you don't want to have a guys in one slate and then DraftKings takes them off the board. Yeah, still nothing announced as of this point, but they did move that primetime Sunday night game to 4:05 between Tampa Bay and Vegas, and they moved Seattle and Arizona to the night spot. I don't know why they did that yet. And I'm a little confused because Vegas right now, I don't know if you've seen, their entire offensive line is out. 4 offensive line, COVID positive, and they will not be able to practice all week. If they pass their COVID test, they may be ready in time for Sunday with 0 practice this week. The entire offensive line. The Raiders got some issues there. I think Abram in the secondary is also under the COVID parameters right now. So I don't know how to play that because that was one of the games I highlighted, Justin. Tampa Bay and Vegas. I know we'll talk stacks later, is one I loved. And now that game that I was so excited about really became a strategic piece for us to follow.
Yeah, that's for sure. Another quarterback I do like a lot, and it's partially because I believe we're the same height and the same first name, and he has some nice locks. I have some nice locks. It's gonna be Justin Herbert because that's a guy I like a lot right there. $6,400 on DraftKings and against Jacksonville's crappy defense. And I may have a little triple stack at the end of the show here that involves a nice little something. But I do like Justin Herbert, especially at 6,400 in some GPPs as well, because he's going to probably have a little bit higher ownership. But like I said on every podcast that we do, I don't care about going with a higher owned quarterback in DraftKings or anything like that, because you got to target these games that are going to have a lot of points.
That might be the best podcast comparison I've ever heard to an NFL player in my life. Same height. Was it 6'5"? Is that what you told me last week there? Around that?
6'6". Yeah.
6'6", throwing the locks there. I'm going to start calling you Justin Herbert from now on there. And in a good take, he's definitely he's another one, Justin. So we're on the same wavelength as far as quarterbacks we're watching. He's in my top 8 for the week. He didn't quite get the yellow highlight, so I'm not quite sure how much I'm onto him in GPP, but definitely a solid play at 6,400.
Gotcha. I also have one more play that it's not pretty. So I guess you can call this a GPP play because it's not a pretty play. But that's Kyle Allen against your Dallas Cowboys defense. Where's the challenge flag?
My heart.
There's the penalty and challenge flag everywhere.
Flags, all the flags out tonight.
Every flag possible. Just throw them my way. Why are we saying hold up? It's 5,200, Dan.
It's Kyle Allen. That passing game is terrible. Even though I do love Terry McLaurin. I think he'll eat this week, okay, when we get to wide receivers. But
all right, sorry. What you saying? So
we're halfway together there. I mean, believe me, Washington is on the radar more than they've ever been. Unfortunately, against my own Cowboys defense, I have a couple of Redskin notes in running back, wide receiver categories, maybe even tight end.
The football team.
I still don't think there's enough there to definitely not warrant GPP play. Again, cash savings. I see where you're going with it. I'll even make a little side note here to not neglect them.
All right. Now, my last GPP play of this week is Teddy Bridgewater. I love me some Teddy Bridgewater all season, and this is a matchup against the Saints defense that has given up the most points to fantasy quarterbacks. So it's Teddy Bridgewater week, and they're not that high on the implied total. They're 22.25. It's 20th out of all the games this week, but the game over under is 51.5, and the Panthers are 7-point underdogs, likely meaning they're going to be playing from behind the whole game. And you've seen what Tate likes to do. He's a decent quarterback, puts up a lot of yards, but has the lowest amount of touchdowns. I believe he has the most likelihood for positive touchdown regression is Teddy Bridgewater. I believe the stat from JJ Zachariason was Every 152 passing yards is the average for a touchdown for a quarterback, and I think Teddy Bridgewater right now is at like 200 and something like that. So he's overdue for some touchdowns and hasn't had a lot through the air this week. I think he has 6 total touchdowns through the air through 6 weeks, which is insane. So this is going to be the week where he's going to do it, and you already know who I'm stacking him with. Now that's all my quarterbacks I had. Yeah, my boy
DJ Moore.
Yeah, that's the guy right there.
Hey, good takes on quarterbacks. I'll wrap up with just a few guys I like, and I'm glad you mentioned Teddy Bridgewater because he's growing on my list. I just took a note there on him. I've been starting to hear more and more about him. I might have been a little soured versus I think he played the Bears, tough defense last week, and he still held his own, but he just wasn't on. I just wasn't there as much as some of these other quarterbacks, but I could definitely see that. I might talk about that with a stack later on. My 2 biggest guys I'm on. Actually, you know what? I'll go from least to greatest here. You mentioned 2 of my top 7. I'm not going to count Wentz, who I like tonight's game. So 2 of my 7 quarterbacks right now. Kyler Murray, we didn't talk about. I just think he's scoring every week. I think he's the only quarterback I heard today that's been in the top 10 every single week and been in the top 5 most weeks. So at 7,100, I think you can't neglect looking at Kyler Murray. Again, not my favorite play, but I'm definitely going to look at it versus Seattle with an over-under 56.5. It's going to be a shootout. I think I'm going to have to get some Kyler in there. Deshaun Watson, I'm going to continue to go back to the well. I think that Green Bay game is going to be an awesome football game. So 56-point over-under there. I love Deshaun Watson at 6,800. Matty Ice, I just have like a little note of at 6,700. You know, could he, with the new coaching change, put together 2 straight weeks? I'm not going to ignore that. So I'm thinking about Matty Ice there in Detroit, and that is the game I love, which takes me to Matthew Stafford, which is the direction I'm going as my top play, one of my 2 top plays of the week at quarterback at 6,500. If I'm going for savings, it's going to be the Stafford stack. And here's my thinking, man. They're playing Atlanta. All right. I think Atlanta will come back down to earth a little bit, but they are at home. I see that game shooting out like it's supposed to, but the game script can't fall the same way it did last week when we took Detroit and it was the DeAndre Swift show. I think this week it's more of the passing game, and that Stafford stack will come through. So I love Matthew Stafford. And last, but certainly not least, buddy, free Russ. It continues versus
this
Arizona.
game's on the slate. Then I can't not say Russ. It's always free Russ. But go ahead. I'll let you have your Russ moment because I love Russell Wilson. Go ahead.
8,000. He's top of the slate. You're gonna pay up, but man, I watched that Dallas game versus Arizona. My Cowboys stink. Seattle's defense is not good either, but it is better than Dallas's. And let me tell you
how
something.
You come to terms with this. I love
it. That Seattle team is not dysfunctional like the Cowboys. They are going to beat the Arizona Cardinals, and it's going to be because of Russ Wilson. He's going to have a huge game. And then last, but maybe I said last but not least too early, as you shine the Miami hat. Is Miami even? Where's Miami this week here?
I was just checking the clock, and it's 2 a time, but it's not yet. But that's a preview for next week right there, though, for quarterbacks. It's already 2 a time. Miami's on a bye week.
That's right. I thought they were on a bye there. So
I just got to hold it up. I'm just repping all the Miami man right now. I mean, and I'm going to beat you to it. Aaron Rodgers, is that the guy you're going to talk about? Because I hate him, but I'll play him. Ugh.
He wasn't. I named it. Aaron Rodgers is on my radar, but I'm more on an Aaron Jones theme this week.
Triple stack it. Triple stack it. Highest over under on the entire slate this week.
Yeah, Rodgers. I like Watson a little bit more, but I do like Aaron Rodgers. I probably will. I will have a combination of it there. So I think we've definitely targeted and touched on every quarterback that you should be focusing on. Again, between now and game day, it's where am I going to take the most shares of? Right now, I'm with Russ Wilson and Matt Stafford, and I'll mix in some of the other guys we talked about.
Yeah, like I mentioned, also I love stacking Mr. Teddy Bridgewater with DJ Moore. DJ Moore this week is a little cheaper than Robbie Anderson, 5,600, and Robbie Anderson's only 6,000. This can allow you to play an initial triple stack with those wide receivers because it's a very concentrated passing game with Mike Davis, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. DJ Moore finally out-targeted Robbie Anderson last week, 11 targets, season high. Looked decent, but had some drops that really, really pissed me off because, he had 3 drops. One was almost impossible. I don't know how he almost even caught that. One was an easy touchdown catch, which could have, made all the haters who say, oh, DJ Moore doesn't score touchdowns. So it's just, right now, it's just, a little bit of variance, but
you're playing GPP, Justin. Those drops are crushing. I mean, that's the difference. You're payday or not.
Yeah, you're punching holes in their wall. I can already see it now. I mean, it's just how it would make you go. But Another one. We're gonna do 2, 2, and 2. I mean, we're a little bit behind. We spent a lot of time on the quarterback stand, but it's okay. Terry McLaurin, I already mentioned it. Kyle Allen, but I don't like Kyle Allen. I love Terry McLaurin, though, especially against Dallas. Is awful, awful, awful defense. Awful defense. Just disgusting.
Easy
defense.
now. Come on, you don't have to rub it. You don't have to rub it in there.
Terry McLaurin, 5,800 is way too cheap. Makes no sense to me. I mean, I'm not complaining though, because that's where we get the definitely put him in your lineups for GVP. And I guess some cash as well. But I like to stay out of the middle and cash. And he's kind of in the middle. But I do like Terry McLaurin.
Love it. McLaurin's on my list. He will be in my lineups without a doubt versus the Cowboys. Christian Kirk, again, at 4,900. He's been getting air yards all year. He broke out last week. You want some savings. I think he will continue to do well versus the Seattle defense. Obviously, I'll be looking at Nuke. I think when you look at those Kyler stacks where I'll have a couple, a little Nuke Kirk action, play it back with someone in Seattle. Mostly I'll be going Seattle stacks. I love Mr. Lockett this week. 6,600. Everyone likes Metcalf every week, but I think he's got a tougher matchup. I think it is a Lockett week. And then Kenny Golladay at 6,700. I can't read my notes here. He looked good last week. I mean, he's diving for footballs. He's definitely healthy. And I think he will eat versus Atlanta like every other wide receiver does and have a big game. Not ignoring Tyler Boyd at 5,400. Stephon Diggs, your boy there at 7,000. I think he's just an elite receiver this year, and he's priced too cheap.
Man.
Yeah, you started the show tonight with Josh Allen, so you can't ignore Mr. Diggs.
Exactly, that's my next guy.
Devontae Adams.
Ooh, Will Fuller.
Look at that Green Bay.
Devontae Adams, Will Fuller. I mean, that you can stack that easily. Devontae Adams 10 targets last week. I'm okay with stacking the absolute crap out of this game. I don't care, man. I don't care. I'm doing Deshaun Watson, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Will Fuller. The more the merrier. This is just a super high scoring game, it looks like, and both defenses are kind of like meh. Will Fuller, I like him. You mentioned Tyler Lockett. I like that a little bit contrarian play of DK Metcalf, who everyone loves, and as they should love. That dude's awesome and really, really fun to watch. I like T. Higgins, 5,300. He keeps being solid air yards monster and getting down the field. He looks like an absolute beast. You mentioned Christian Kirk, 4,900. I think it's a fair price, but a little bit cheaper at 4,700 is Mike Williams, who did look pretty good once Keenan Allen went out, and he had some plays of his own. But he's pretty cheap this week, coming off a bye week, which I know. Oh, look at that! He's showing me a sheet, Dan. Dan, is that?
There's Christian Kirk, right? And then there's a line. Where does that line go to? Mike Williams.
Look at that. I have eyes everywhere, Dan.
We're thinking the same.
Yeah. And I think another thing is, I believe it was Rich Rebar who did the study. Teams coming off bye weeks and what they do compared to it's like a big variance. They're either going to go really, really well or they're going to be absolute crap. I don't think it's really in between. It's a lot of variance after the bye week. So you're going to bet on that variance and have a Mike Williams thing. But the opposite side of the ball, Dan, it's DJ Chark or Keelan Cole, or why not both? You can definitely do both. DJ Chark, second highest air yards among all wide receivers last week. 14 targets, only 45 yards. Doesn't make any sense to me. Keelan Cole, he looks good, man. He does look good. People are going to say out of nowhere, but he does look really good. And I'm okay with playing either one of those. If you want a price cut, Keelan Cole, 4,700. DJ Chark, 5,500.
To me, I think on that Jacksonville offense, Chark is the elite receiver. If there's anyone that has a chance to break out in GPP, it is DJ Chark. I hear people talking about other guys like Laviska. I love Laviska. For me, if you mention Keelan Cole, I don't see how you cannot mention Laviska because Laviska is ultimately more talented. I just think Cole has his role in that offense. But I have no faith in Keelan Cole ever doing more than a touchdown and 3-4 catches for 60 yards. Like, I just think that's his ceiling. So cash play, Justin, maybe, but I'm with you on Chark as a playback if you are going with that Herbert combination that we talked about and you're on the Chargers with Mike Williams. Keenan Allen at 6,200. He's having a really good season. He's healthy. I know he tweaked his back during the last game, spiking the ball or something crazy, but he's fine.
Yeah. GPP play. I don't know. I've been getting the GPPs a little more. I think maybe you're rubbing off on me, Dan. But Tim Patrick, 4,600, is a little enticing for me because he does look good. Drew Lock, I believe, has the most deep attempts in the league average out of his attempts. Like, he has a deep ball percentage of, I think it's over 30% right now, which is pretty crazy. And Tim Patrick is benefiting from all these injuries in that passing offense. I like him. And of course, I know you said they have no offensive linemen, but Henry Ruggs is a GPP kind of guy that he can win you a week. And he has that speed. He gets some targets deep. And I think Tampa Bay, very good defense. So I doubt it. But in the off chance that he gets one free. I mean, that can help you out, especially at $4,800.
The only receiver we didn't mention that I like to probably goes with that theme of Mr. Henry Ruggs. And I guess I'll touch back on those Denver receivers. Tim Patrick. I think if you are going to Kansas City stack and you're playing back something from Denver, I don't know if it's a running back. Again, with the GPP stacks, I like playing something back to help me be a little bit contrarian and hoping that game goes off with a high total that helps you out. I think Jerry Jeudy's still the guy, though, that's going to break out at some point. It may not be in the next 2 weeks. I mean, we really need a good Drew Lock performance to get those guys to pay off. But Ty Freak, man, Tyreek Hill, 6,400. You want a big GP play. Same concept of Mr. Ruggs. I think he's a nice play that's a little bit more affordable than Mr. Tyreek Hill normally is.
Definitely. I mean, you can see it all these possibilities. It's crazy. And if I were going to do one more shot in the rough, I love doing my little random shots of guys who can possibly go off. Michael Gallup. It's gross, Dan, but I feel like it's gonna have. Hey, he had a touchdown drop this week. They would have turned some stat lines around. I don't know how he drops that, but makes all these other really incredible catches. But that's what happens. I know it hurts you. I want to go right off. It's just unbelievable. But running backs, you mentioned Aaron Jones. I love Aaron Jones, 7,200. I don't know how you don't play Aaron Jones this week. It's smash spot, and he's not even the most expensive running back on the slate. I'm not fading Alvin Kamara. 7,900 gets a lot of targets. Targets are worth lots of money in DFS. So I do love me some Aaron Jones and Mr. Alvin Kamara. Who do you like at running back?
Love Alvin Kamara. He's the one guy I highlighted, yellow stripe across him here. Love that playback with Teddy Bridgewater. Where if we're looking at that angle there, I'm happy you mentioned teams coming off a bye too, and I think coaching's a big part of that. So with the Los Angeles Chargers, as you mentioned, Mike Williams, Chargers coming off a bye. To me, I don't consider the Chargers a great coach team. I think that's a team that over time, if they don't get it right and figure out how to win, there's going to be a coaching change. But Vegas with Gruden came off a bye. The Saints with Coach Payton, great coach off a bye. Seattle with Coach Carroll coming off a bye. Makes me like these stacks a little more. Now, again, Vegas is having problems with the COVID players on the O-line. It may be changed to the different slate. I don't know if it's going to be available. But Alvin Kamara coming off a bye in a game that I think is just an ideal matchup. Loving Alvin Kamara versus Carolina. Everyone does good versus Carolina, so he should really go off.
Except for David Montgomery, but he's not exactly in nearly the same caliber as Alvin Kamara.
Maybe that's why we got 13 points and 4 catches out of Montgomery. Maybe that was pushing his ceiling. Who knows there with the Bears offense. And it's just a matter of deciding, Justin, who's going to be good chalk and bad chalk. And this has been my challenge this year. Last week I was thrilled. I stood on Derrick Henry, and that paid off. That was great chalk last week. You're not winning big without him, but Madison would have been a great fade getting away from the chalk last week. This week right now, Aaron Jones is the highest player on the board, and Kamara is the next highest running back. Aaron Jones right now is at 31.5% ownership in DraftKings. That's the highest I've seen in a little bit there right out of the gates. So I got to figure out how I'm going to play that one there. But I do love Kamara. I love Jones. I may go back to the well. I know you're saying it was the Dallas defense, but Kenyon Drake at 4,800 in a playback versus Seattle there. He's just feeling it right now, man. We might want to ride that train while it's hot. I know you seem to mention Kareem Hunt every week at 6,800. It's interesting. Mr. Disrespected every week, Chris Carson at 6,400. I think is a guy you might want to look at as a good, if you're fading an Aaron Jones or Kamara, if you're that bold. Carson could be a really nice playback. And I think the last 2 guys I would just want to talk about is those Washington running backs.
Antonio Gibson. Okay. You're gonna beat me to it, Dan. You're over here listing every single running back on the slate. I'm waiting for you to not list this guy. That's the play of the week. It's there. Gibson.
Talk to listeners about Antonio Gibson there, Justin. I'm gonna give you my catch. I'm gonna say, what about pivoting?
McKissick's a great cash option. I don't think he's gonna win you a week in a GPP. Gibson has the talent to win you the week in a GPP. But I'm gonna tell you, the listeners really easily summed up of why you're gonna play Antonio Gibson. It's just 2 words. It's actually two words, that one that you're gonna like and the other one you're not gonna like. Dallas sucks.
just because Miles Sanders is out tonight, you don't have to keep going after my Cowboys. How
They're
bad
hurting,
things are
Dan.
right now, all right? Just because I'm on like the therapist's couch every week now, just
Right
talking
now,
about the Dallas Cowboys. It's I get it, Justin. I get it.
I'm in the room next to you with Miles Sanders and just with
But
them and
my,
DJ
my
Moore.
my last running back question for the week, and this is one I just don't completely understand, Justin. Like I can understand maybe people liking him as a dart throw play, but Justin Jackson. Now he flashed a little bit in the Chargers game, but how on earth, like this has got to be the Al Seinfeld, Al Smizzle, mentions his name, and then all of a sudden I go on the percentage ownership, and Justin Jackson is at like 13% ownership on both DraftKings and FanDuel, like one of the higher owned running backs this week. Last I checked, it's a two-headed monster there. And he's the 1B. He's not even the starter.
That's
what am I missing?
Twitter. It's just Twitter fantasy football. Woo! I mean, they like what they see out of Jackson. He's taking the Eckler role and the Eckler and Melvin Gordon thing. So that's.
I'm not saying it's a bad play. I don't see how it's like a smash.
Yeah.
It's not a free square.
People are trying to save money. I think that's just what it comes down to. I also like Mike Davis this week. Hurt some people last week, but New Orleans, and it's gonna be a high scoring game. So he's a good pass catching back. I like him this week, and I also like James Conner against Tennessee. I don't know if you already said that one. But I think
Pittsburgh passes versus Tennessee. That'd be my only concern about
Pittsburgh's
Connor,
good though. I don't know. It's just so tough. That game script sucks, and they look bad. I don't know. I think Connor can still get involved in the passing game as well.
True. That's gonna be a great game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun game to watch too. Two good football teams going at it. Now we gotta go at it. We're a little bit behind, so we got to zoom through this tight end section and defense section so we get to the stack of the week. So tight ends, who you going with this week?
I have 5 guys.
Oh, 5 guys. Great burgers and fries. 5 guys. All right, who you got?
Two that I love. All right. Before I get to the two that I love, I'm gonna be looking at
my 3.
you gotta look at George Kittle at 6,500. All right. I'm not gonna neglect him there.
No.
Logan Thomas, just because he's playing the Dallas Cowboys, I think he becomes in play again. They don't have many weapons, so they'll go to him, and he'll be an affordable play there at 3,500. Dart throw play of the week is Albert O at 2,500 with Noah Fant still out. They have got to find some offense versus Kansas City. Yeah, I think he's like, did he get practice? So if he comes back, that does change things. So I would keep an eye on that.
But yeah, I like that play a lot though, Dan.
They gave him a few targets in the red zone.
Some deep ones too.
And Kansas City's secondaries, believe it or not, it's kind of decent. Like they're going to give Judy and Tim Patrick a hard time, so it could be a good tight end week. So there was a dart throw play. But the two that I love is Mr. Travis Kelce at 6,300. I think is just going to smash versus the Broncos. And he's been just Mr. Reliable all year. And then the lineups where I don't have Kelce or a Mahomes stack, TJ Hawkinson, $5,000. It is free TJ Hawkinson in the Detroit passing game week. Give me Hawk at 5K.
Love that play.
I
agree with all yours, but I'm also going to go with Rob Gronkowski, who's suddenly just getting super involved in this offense. So I do like him at 4,600. He's a decent shot right there. And then you're giving your deep shot. I don't have one nearly as deep as that, but Greg Olsen. I mean, this game does stay on the slate. I think Greg Olsen's a solid pay down option that can give you a higher floor than someone like Albert O, but I don't know if he has nearly as high of a ceiling as Albert O. So I like that. Defenses, Dan. The Miami Dolphins aren't on there to just dominate teams, but I'm paying up for the Bills. 4,700. I don't even care. I mean, hey, I'm doing it. It's so easy. Do you have anyone against the Jets? Just do it. Doesn't matter what it is. You got to do it.
It's against the Jets, and I think there's even though everyone's going to say against the Jets, not everyone's going to pay up. Now, right now, the Bills are about 21% ownership, so it takes away a little bit of the being contrarian by paying up. So that would concern me a little bit.
Before you steal my play of the week, because I know you're going to do it. I know it's got some yellow highlighter next to it.
Bills get a pick 6. That 4,700 will be worth it. But who's your play of the week? Let's see. Is it on my list?
It's the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers, it's 3,400, and they're going against the Jaguars. They're 7.5-point favorites off a bye week. Like I said, I'm going with the Chargers.
I like it. They were in my top 5, so we're on the same wavelength. We're on the same.
You got 5 again. All right,
I got 5 because it's like the midweek. So what I like to do is just give the listeners a few different perspectives. Like I don't want to miss something, and then the listeners, say, "Hey, you didn't talk about him on the show." I try to at least say, "Hey, I'm looking in that direction." Again, the Bills, the Chargers, and the Kansas City Chiefs at 4,300 are my bottom three. Okay, they're three that I'm considering. I don't know how much I'll take them.
Are the Cowboys in the top two?
No. I'm not even looking at the Cowboys. That defense is dead to me. There's no outside contain versus the Cardinals, where you've got to keep outside. Don't get me going. But I like the Washington Redskins.
Football team.
The Cowboys.
Football team. Football team. The football.
I apologize to our listeners there. You got to understand, I'm a Cowboys fan. I've been saying that for 40 years. All right, touche. But the Washington football team at 2,500 versus Dallas, that front seven could put some pressure on Dallas. If Zach Martin's not back at right guard, this is an offensive line with 5 guys where only one of them was supposed to start this year, Brian Williams at left guard, and he's the weakest of the 5. So they've got some challenges. And the Cleveland Browns at 2,800. They've been playing good football. They're playing a Bengals team that also struggles protecting the quarterback. Hey, you're going to put pressure on the quarterback. There could be some chance at some interceptions. Give me the Browns.
There you go. I like that breakdown. Browns defense is looking pretty solid too, and Burrow is he's going to throw the ball a lot. So I like that pick a lot. Now, stack of the week time. This is the stack of the week time. Under 3 minutes left. I mean, I don't really have a sound effect for this, but I guess this works. It works for a lot of things, that sound effect. I like it a lot. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. Are you running it back like one of the Jets? No, you're not. But you're running it back with the Bills defense, baby. That's a triple stack. I mean, hey, you want to make it a triple stack. Oh, now Dan's like, I look pretty good because it's the Jets. It is the Jets, man.
Bills.
Now.
I like the Allen Diggs Bills. Nice thinking.
Yes, I'm still staying as a co-host on the show. Let's go. All right, Dan. Who's your first stack of the week?
I'm going to go up to my stack of the week. I'm going to build up, Justin, okay? I've taken a note with your Bill stack. I like that. So I'll probably take one crack at that. You've talked me into tonight of a Teddy Bridgewater. I'm going to play it back with Kamara and maybe go Robbie Anderson and or DJ Moore. I got to figure that piece out. So you put me on to 2 stacks tonight that I'm going to look at. The 3 that I was going into the show with, and I'm going to build up to my best one. I love Seattle and Arizona with Russ Lockett Kirk. Christian Kirk is what makes that a sneaky GPP. Russ Lockett Kirk, because it's not Metcalf, it's not Nuke, it's the Lockett Kirk show. I think that could be sneaky. Green Bay, Houston, Watson and Fuller playing back with Aaron Jones. But then my stack of the week is Matthew Stafford, Kenny Galladay, and TJ Hawkinson. Pick the Atlanta player to play back. I will have a few different combinations there as the week evolves, and I zero in on this a little bit more. But love Detroit passing game this week.
I like that. I'll do my other stack. I have 2 more stacks of the week, and they're both pretty sizable stacks. So I'm going with the Jacksonville Chargers game, and that's going to be Justin Herbert. It's going to be Mike Williams. It's going to be Keenan Allen. It's going to be running it back with DJ Chark. It's a sneaky high over-under, and it's set up for success. What are you looking at me like that for?
49.5 over under. Jacksonville.
That's pretty high. Anything above 48 we take. I think it's going to go over 50.
Stinks.
Yeah. Except for Minshew Mania. Don't listen. Mitch better not be listening. He does not want to hear this Jacksonville Minshew slander. Last one. You mentioned the Deshaun Watson, Will Fuller, Aaron Jones stack. Well, I'm going same game. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, the double Aaron stack that equals like quadruple stack because you got the same team, same first name. That's crazy though, right there. Then Devontae Adams, then Will Fuller. I mean, I don't care. It's triple stack, run it back with one of the options there. I like it. Like it a lot. Very, very high over under. It's going to be a lot of points in this game. Make sure you get at least a lineup with Rodgers as a quarterback and Watson as your quarterback because you want both these guys to bring up a lot of points. Any last words, Dan, before we get out of here?
But we just talked a lot about a lot of exciting football coming up this weekend. Stoked for week 7, man. That's all I got tonight. I know we burned both ends of the candle. A lot of advice for our listeners. Hey, I hope everybody's in the money.
Yes, be in the money. Subscribe. You guys made it this far. My Twitter at Justin_FFB. Dan's Twitter at FFCoachDan. Make sure you follow both of us. Subscribe if you're new on here. Remember, we go live on 7 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday nights at YouTube. Type it in the Money DFS podcast. And we'll see you guys next time.